that last song was by a band called Lily Ponds that I used to perform with in the 1990s. That was a song called Euphoria, spelled all capital letters, one word. Recorded probably in May of 1992. I can tell you this because I found that information on this cassette tape right here. My friend Dave Ferris, who plays drums on this, reminded me that all this stuff, was eventually released on our Blockbuster double cassette recording Lily Pond's Lose Your Confusion 1 and 2. See, back then Guns N' Roses made this double album full of major label bloat that was called Use Your Illusion, I think. So Lily Ponds decided we would do a epic double cassette and call it Lose Your Confusion. Yeah, so that was cool. Interesting, this was a TDK SA100. I'm really amazed that it still worked. I used to be a big fan of the SA90. That was my favorite tape. 45 minutes on the side. The 100s and above, they made out of thinner tape so they would stretch out. And even when I was recording this one, it took a while to make it sound good. It was a little bit wobbly, recorded kind of at a low level, probably because a recording engineer at a studio did it. I used to record it really hot. So I spent some time digitizing that over the past couple of days. Might play another song from there a little bit later on. I did not get to this one, but maybe next week. This is a cassette also of Lily Ponds, our first recording. This is on a metal tape, so this will probably sound pretty good. Just thinking about all this stuff because of the news of last week of someone I'd never heard of before. I'd never heard of Lou Ottens until last week when I found out that he died. And to think that someone that you never heard of could have such an impact on your life, pretty amazing. I mean, for myself, the cassette tape, possibly more influential than vinyl, very likely. First place I heard Clifford Brown, and I used to be one of those nerds who would actually, if I bought a vinyl record, I would tape the vinyl record and listen to the tape instead of the vinyl, so I wouldn't scratch the vinyl up. It's really true. Later on, I was very into taping my radio shows on WRFL, Lexington, Kentucky. Still having those tapes today and the recordings I made of them really lets me revisit my mindset in certain times. And later on, I was recording on a 4-track cassette. Did a lot of interesting songwriting and things on the 4-track cassette. I still have the machine in a closet. I have ambitions of getting it fixed someday because that machine sounds really good. So the next thing we will hear after this, we will hear because I found it on this tape, which I've had since sometime in the 1980s, and it was called Tunes I Don't Have. What it's going to be is, I used to have this keyboard called a Yamaha PSS 680, and it was had tiny little keys. It had drum pads on it, but you could do little sequencing stuff on it. So before I had any good way to record stuff, I would make these tracks on the Yamaha keyboard and record it onto cassette. It turns out there's one on this tape that actually sounds pretty good. So I'll be playing that after I finish boring you with my speaking. Just thinking about Lou Ottens, Austrian engineer. He made this thing. I love this story. He made the original version of this out of wood. He made a wooden block to see if he could, carry it around nicely in his pocket. And that's how he decided to make the form factor of the cassette tape. Anyway, someone that most of us have never heard of, including me, has left the planet. Thanks for being here, Lou Ottens. Thanks for making the cassette tape. Made a big difference in my life, and I'm sure many people as well. Thanks for listening. We'll get us back to the music here. Coming up next, as I said, I'm calling this cheesy beats from old Yamaha PSS 680. It's an untitled song. I'm playing all black keys, I think. It sounds pretty good for a 1980s cassette tape. It still is listenable and is not scratched like a compact disc might be by now. Anyway, here we go. Have a great day, you all, and we'll talk to you a little bit later on.